We just had a conversation about our own identities and how to really dig deeply into each other's truths. And this work is really important because when we walk into a school, we walk in with this really positive intention. We're going to make the day great for children. We're going to help somebody with their math homework. We're going to supervise lunch and ensure that kids have a safe space to be. We're going to get to know them. And often we say or do things with this positive intention. And sometimes even despite the positive intention, the things that we say or do have a negative impact or cause harm. We can't know what's going to be negative or cause harm for every individual with whom we interact, but we can make ourselves more aware of the context of others, the truth of others, the history of people and the space, so that it happens less often. And when we do cause harm, we must pause and we must apologize and we must own it. And even if our intention was positive, the impact is more important. And then we learn and we do better next time and we don't make that same mistake again. And so this matters because when we're interacting with students, we are going to say and do things through our own lenses. That's how we live life. And we have an opportunity here to expand our lenses. We have an opportunity between what we think and what we say, where we can pause and maybe we can adjust. And so we're going to go through some examples here together on this video, and then you'll have some questions that you'll have a chance to answer and reflect on. Have your paper ready because writing down is a great way to reflect on this work. So I want to create this situation for you. Imagine that you are working with a child in a school of any age, kindergarten up through, our high school kids, and imagine you're reading a book. And the student you're reading with, they're very excited about the book. It's an engaging book. It's really exciting. And in your excitement, for the kids' excitement, you say to them, well, tell your mom and dad about the book we read today. So let's think about this. And let's think about this in 3 ways. First, consider what assumptions and biases go into this statement. So pause the video here and write some down. What assumptions go into this statement? What assumptions did you write down? I wonder if you wrote down the assumption that every household has a mom and a dad, or this kid's household, right? That there are 2 parents at home, that the parents will be home and not at work when the kid gets there, right? That the kid lives with parents and a mom and dad. Maybe they live with an aunt and uncle, or maybe they live with a grandparent, or maybe they live with one adult, or maybe they live with 2 moms or 2 dads or foster parents, or maybe they live in a multi-generational home, right? Maybe they live in a home where their older siblings are their caregivers. There's so many amazing family structures that exist. And when we say this sentence, we are making an assumption about the adults in that space. We also are making an assumption about the actual ability for the child to go home and have this conversation, right? A lot of our students who have the asset of being multilingual have parents who maybe are also multilingual, but maybe don't speak the language of instruction. So maybe parents don't speak English like the children do. And that leaves the child in this place where they have to figure out this translation, right? And so it's tricky, it's harder. Maybe the parents work 2nd or 3rd shift and the kids won't see them when they get home today. Maybe a child lives in multiple homes. And in all of these scenarios, we're setting the child up not for success, but actually for failure here. We're setting the child up to not actually be able to succeed. And so that's one of the impacts, which is the second piece we're thinking about. The assumptions that go into this and the impact. And so one impact is that a child could be unsuccessful at this task. They might not actually be able to go tell mom and dad about the book we read. And so pause the video here and write down some other possible impacts. Consider what impacts you wrote down. It might make a child feel othered, like their family isn't normal, like their family structure isn't normal. It could make a child feel hurt or shame or or relive some triggers and trauma if maybe a parent has passed away. It reinforces for even kids who this statement fits that this is the family structure that we are identifying and we're lifting up as the norm. Those are some of the impacts it has. And so the third piece to think about is, what might we do or say instead? So pause the video and write down, what could we do or say instead given this scenario? And so as we think about what we do and say instead, maybe we find other words for these adults, right? Maybe instead of mom and dad, we say caregivers, your grown-ups, your people, right? Maybe we ask the child, who will you talk to this evening? So that we can learn from them what their truth is, right? Maybe we don't even need that excitement for the book to leave the space we've created. Maybe that excitement can live right there and we can honor it without having to extend it anywhere. Maybe we can connect the child with somebody else at the school, the librarian or another teacher, to share their excitement. There's all kinds of ways to engage in this, and there's all kinds of ways to honor kids and families. And so as we move forward with the next portion of our training, we want you to consider those three pieces. We want you to think about the assumptions that you bring, the assumptions in the statements we'll share with you. We want you to think about the impact that these might have, and we want you to think about what could be done or said instead.